Hello and welcome to ITV News West Country with Kylie and Seb.
Thank you for joining us. The headlines this Monday evening. More flood alerts across Devon and Somerset after places like Minehead were hit by torrential downpours.
Water was coming out like the sea, coming over like that. I thought, my gosh, my kitchen is full of water. I'm not going to get out. I was so frightened.
Also tonight, a royal test flight as the Princess of Wales visits Yeovilton.
Plus, after being saved by the community, a leisure centre in Falmouth reopens.
And we meet a 92-year-old from Callington who has no intention of slowing down.
Good evening. A major clear-up operation continues across Devon and Somerset after almost a month's worth of rain fell in a day, causing damage to houses and businesses.
Communities in and around Totnes and Harberton were among the worst affected, with streets flooded and at least one house damaged by lightning. Well, flood warnings remain in place along the River Clyst near the M5 in Devon and Moorland in Somerset.
Well, tonight we're live across the region with the latest. We'll be in Clyst St Mary, as well as in Minehead, where the storms forced Butlins to close. And we'll hear from Charlie at the Met Office in Exeter.
But first of all, we can speak to Richard Lawrence, live in the village of Harberton, where people needed to be evacuated from their homes, didn't they, Richard? And the damage looks quite severe.
Well, it was a case of people watching and seeing it all happen in the early hours of Sunday morning after the tremendous thunderstorm that struck this village. They're used to flooding here in the past. There have been improvements made to the flood prevention schemes, but nothing's hit the village quite like this on this scale. And there's a whole army of volunteers just at this particular row of cottages that have been working for the best part of today and yesterday to try to improve the lives of the people here who really have had their lives turned upside down by this event.
The home of 95-year-old Betty Baldwin, who, like other residents, woke around 3 a.m. to find her furniture afloat in a muddy indoor lake.
And this great gushing of water was coming out like the sea, coming over like that. I thought, my gosh, my kitchen is full of water. I'm not going to get out. I was so frightened.
She's now being looked after by friends in a farmhouse further up the hill. The man who came to her aid was sorting through some of her furniture today, neighbour Jonathan Beam. Outside at the time, the road was a river.
The water was already 2'6" high, and there's no way I could get into the house because I couldn't find her spare key because it was underwater. Yeah. So I eventually managed to climb through the kitchen window and wade across the room where the furniture was floating just to calm her down.
In the row of cottages opposite, residents don't have the option to put out their furniture to dry yet, as their front gardens are buried under tons of topsoil, straw and detritus. But everyone is hugely impressed by the efforts of volunteers.
I mean, I'm still in shock, and I'm smiling. I just don't know I don't know where to start. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just complete devastation, really. It's been absolutely incredible. I think, I just said, yesterday at one point, I was saying, I'm so happy that we live here because of the community spirit in Harberton, kind of forgetting that if we didn't live here, we wouldn't have been flooded. But it was amazing.
From above, you can see the entire network of roads covered in mud. The flood made its way down from the recently harvested fields. One of the upper lanes is blocked by tons of earth. Up to 20 houses were affected. Sally Venning lives at the bottom of the village, where the mud had to be scooped out by hand.
Everyone in the village who was helping used these as shovels and put it in the bucket, and I got a stream at the bottom of the garden, so it was all put in the stream, which was running quite fast. But it's the depth of the mud and the glutinous side of it that is so difficult. But the fact that all the villagers came and helped.
Betty Baldwin had been planning her 96th birthday party at her home to take place in 2 weeks' time, an occasion that everybody seems determined to celebrate, the venue yet to be decided. Richard Lawrence, ITV News.
Well, as the storm swept through, many major roads were damaged across mid-Devon, and flooding forced the temporary closure of Exeter Airport, where water started pouring through the ceiling.
Bob Cruz reports now on the wider impact across Devon.
The view from the webcams overlooking Dawlish shows just how quickly the water rose yesterday afternoon. A torrent of rainwater, stained red by the South Devon mud as it ran off the fields, coursed down through the town and out to sea. Exeter Airport was completely flooded. It was just 8 minutes from the height of the storm before the building was inundated. Every part of the terminal was affected, from the check-in hall to the duty-free shop, the kitchens and the arrivals area. A plane load of passengers bound for Lanzarote were turned away while staff worked to clear up the water.
Well, we weren't very happy because we arrived and there was just traffic everywhere. There was about 3 fire engines and they had all the hoses and shoveling it all up and that.
Flights in and out of the airport had to be cancelled yesterday afternoon, with hundreds of passengers affected.
First, you can only apologise that they've been disrupted, and we wish them well on their holiday, because they all got away today. It was a freak of nature, I guess, but a torrential downpour in a very short period of time. Big thanks to the team. They worked extremely hard into the night and throughout the night, ready for the passengers this morning to arrive from probably 3 o'clock onwards. So yeah, we had a very short window to recover, which we've done, thankfully.
Some of the roads around the airport flooded, the water too deep for some cars to manage. Further up the Exe Valley, this was the scene in Stoke Cannon on Sunday afternoon, where rainwater flooded the A396 between Exeter and Tiverton. And in Langford, near Columpton, the lane which runs past a row of houses turned to a torrent when a stream overflowed. Today, the road had to be closed. The force of the rushing water has destroyed the road surface, tearing up tarmac and dumping stone and debris all along the lane. Residents watched as the level of the water rose extremely quickly.
As we were watching it, it was getting higher and higher and higher. And in the space of half an hour, it had, from the downpour starting, the stream had broken down, and then the whole stream coming down the road was just a torrent of water.
And it wasn't just rain causing damage. This house in Totnes was struck by lightning in the middle of the night.
I could hear it rumbling in the distance. I was thinking, there's a storm coming in, bit of rain coming down, and then just literally, boom, nearly sort of shook me out of bed. And then this humongous flash of lightning, just right outside my sort of window, and I think that must have been the one that hit the house.
Part of the ceiling collapsed and plug sockets were blown off the wall, but thankfully nobody inside the house was injured.
Remarkable. Well, Bob is live tonight by the River Clyst, where a flood alert is still in place, isn't it, Bob? So what are the levels like there then this evening?
Kylie, I'm at Clyst St Mary, right by the M5 motorway junction for Exeter, and you can see there has been some flooding here. There's still quite a bit of water on the farmland here, and in the village too there's been some damage. There's a pub that's closed. A sign on the door says it won't be reopening until Wednesday, and a number of houses still got sandbags outside because we are still in an area that's under a flood alert. The Environment Agency says flooding is still possible here and up the River Clyst and the River Culm through Broad Clyst, Hemyock, Columpton and Stoke Cannon.
Bob, OK, thank you.
Well, businesses in West Somerset have also been assessing the damage caused by the flash flooding.
The Butlins resort in Minehead was forced to announce a 4-day closure due to what they describe as an exceptional amount of rainfall yesterday. Well, for more on this, Robert Murphy is live in Minehead for us tonight. So what else has been affected there, Rob?
Yes, well, at first glance, everything seems so normal, doesn't it? The sun's in the sky, the roads look dry. But if you look closely, there are clues. Take a look in this shop here, the white box down there, a dehumidifier. This whole string of shops, this whole line of shops was affected by the flood water. This new business this carpet was only put down here just a few months ago, but as you can see, it's wringing wet with flood water. This has affected hundreds of businesses and thousands of people. They looked like rivers running red, but the roads were flooded, to the horror of motorists caught in the downpour.
It's coming out of there like oh my God!
You cleaned it and do nothing. But it was Minehead town centre where people were the most affected. This barber shop was swamped, but somehow managed to open today. Not the case for this new plastic-free shop, which opened earlier this year. New carpets and some stock destroyed as floodwater rushed through.
Only an inch or two deep, but it's all damaged. It's done like all the floorings had to be taken up. There's sustainable flooring. I've got underlay which made out of recycled vehicle tyres and Sizal carpets, so it's all sustainable.
And you can't get insurance for this either?
No, I'm not insured. This is when I started the business, signed the lease and that, and then tried to get my business insurance. They said, we'll insure you, but we can't insure you for flood.
Other business owners tried makeshift defences without luck.
I've lived here 30 odd years, and our street, that's the first time I've known it flood as bad as it did yesterday. But it was terrible. Similar to say, from Ireland in middle to get across here, I had to walk through 4 inches of water. So it was bad. And trouble is, I've never had any Wellingtons since I was a kid. No. And that was a long time ago.
One of the big businesses, Butlins, has been forced to close for days after water ran through the ceiling. Videos were soon posted on social media. Emergency services did what they could. Some businesses say they think blocked drains contributed to the damage.
I think it's probably fair comment that the drains aren't maintained to the standard that we might like. After 10 years of cuts, we've inherited a system that is not maintained on as regular basis as we might like. But let's not kid ourselves. The bottom line is, even if the system was in immaculate tip-top condition, it could not deal with the amount of rain that fell yesterday.
Today, Minehead had some respite from the rain, but it'll be back tomorrow for 3 days. Business owners will be looking to the skies to watch for storm clouds, or perhaps also in prayer. Robert Murphy, ITV News.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the intensity of this storm. Charlie's in the Met Office. Charlie, there was a lot of rain in a very short amount of time, wasn't it?
Yes, we often talk about these extreme rainfall events as things that are going to happen in the future as a result of climate change, but they are happening now. OK, yesterday was a little bit of a rarity, but it just proves that the kind of rainfall that we're going to see over the next few years and decades will just become that little bit more normal, and that's got to be cause for concern. Yesterday's rainfall, looking at the radar loop from yesterday, was one and then a second area of intense thundery rainfall that was all done by shortly after lunchtime for most of us, leaving us with some relatively calm skies thereafter. But it was just so much that fell in a short space of time. Yellow warnings were in force, and then during the morning, as things developed, the Met Office issued a targeted amber alert. And this next chart here shows quite nicely that corridor of intense rainfall. These numbers are in millimetres, and they're for the 24-hour period of Sunday. And you can see from Harberton there, nearly 80 millimetres, where Richard was earlier, all the way up towards Minehead and Watchet, a little corridor of 60 to 80 millimetres of rain falling. And the average for September is 92 millimetres, so it just shows how much there was.
It really was a lot. Charlie, thank you. We'll talk to you a little later in the programme.
OK, let's move on to other news now. And the Princess of Wales visited RNAS Yeovilton in Somerset today, taking a tour of the naval base, meeting some of those who work there, and even having a bit of fun testing the equipment.
Yes, last month the King appointed her Commodore-in-Chief of the Fleet Air Arm. We sent our reporter Louisa Britton along.
Everyone, good morning. Request an assessment of the cloud base in the overhead views.
The air traffic controllers had a helping hand from a rather special visitor this morning as the Princess of Wales radioed through to one of the helicopters coming into land.
Terrible job, you wouldn't blow me.
Tower 01, runway 26, clear to land, wind. Yeovilton is one of the busiest airfields in the UK, so the team have their work cut out for them, maintaining communication with the many types of aircraft that fly over and land at the naval base. The royal visit included a closer look at the Merlin and Wildcat helicopters based at Yeovilton, and it was an important one for the Princess of Wales, not just in her new role as Commodore-in-Chief of the Fleet Air Arm, but because King Charles himself underwent his helicopter training here in the 1970s.
It's really, really nice. Like, she seems like a really genuine person. I didn't expect, I've never met any royal family, so she was like really down to earth, asking questions. Like, I was really intrigued by it.
She was super lovely, really engaging, really interested in like why I joined the Royal Navy, and particularly the SE branch as well. Really took interest in that, which was quite nice. And then then took her on to show us the sort of equipment that we maintain here at Yeovilton.
It's been really exciting. There's been a real buzz around the place because it's not something you really do every day, is it really? But it's nice to sort of get recognised for what you do every day with something quite important like this. So yeah, it's good. It's good to be part of.
The Princess also had a chance to see some of the survival and safety kit used by pilots and crews, and even test it out. Much to the delight of the photographers.
So we were showing her one of the aspects that we do of packing the life jackets, and then I invited her to put it on. She was quite happy to do so. Told her to pull the beaded handle to see what happened, and then it inflated. She was a little bit apprehensive of what was going to happen, but it's nice that she got involved and had a go.
Engineers also demonstrated how missiles are loaded and secured onto the wing of the Wildcat helicopter. An insight for the Princess into the varied work that takes place at Yeovilton, and a chance to meet the people that carry it out. Louisa Britton, ITV News.
It looked like they all had fun.
And really large amounts of fun. Good.
Now, a leisure centre in Falmouth, which was shut down last year, opened its doors again today after being rescued by a community charity.
Yes, the Ships and Castles site has been renamed Pendennis Community Centre and is once again offering a full timetable of classes and a cafe. But the popular swimming pool is not yet up and running. Sam Blackledge reports.
Well done. Squeeze the knees and lift.
A core workout session is not everyone's favourite way to start a Monday morning, but these keen customers have been waiting quite a while to get their fitness fix. 18 months ago, Cornwall Council closed the Ships and Castles Leisure Centre in Falmouth after the former operator said it could no longer afford the running costs. After vocal protests, the whole site on the town's historic headland was sold to the town council and then taken on by a newly formed charity.
All these people are volunteers. The people that have set up the charity, volunteers. The people in there serving coffee today, volunteers. It's incredible what they've actually achieved together, and I think that is a real testament to the strength in Falmouth and how much this place means to everybody. I'm so happy that it is open. It will get fuller and fuller, the capacity up here in terms of classes.
Brilliant. It's been empty for quite a while, but they've done a lot of work on cleaning it and painting it and opening it, and we need this sort of facility in Falmouth.
Terrific. I think it's wonderful for the community, and particularly the way they're planning to do it, so that it's for everybody to share, and I think it's a really good thing.
There is, however, one thing missing. The swimming pool on the ground floor of the building, so well loved by generations of families down the years, is dry and empty, and may have to stay that way for some time.
The main aim of Pendennis Leisure was always to seek the funding to rebuild that swimming pool here on the site. Unfortunately, because it has been closed now for a year and a half, the cost involved in reopening it is huge. We want to build a sustainable pool, so it will keep us going for another 40 years, whereas if we did have the money to open this centre, it would only last for another year or so. As I said, the government really does need to put some money into these facilities so that they keep on going on and on.
Well, despite today's reopening, the future of leisure centres like this is still uncertain. It takes an awful lot of time, money and energy to keep places like this open in the long term. The feeling seems to be use it or we could lose it for good. Sam Blackledge, ITV News, Falmouth.
Leisure centres are rather like libraries, aren't they? You don't really know how much you need them until they're gone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. It's time for a look at the sport now as Exeter City returns to the top of League One.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
So let's start with the Grecians then, because Gary Caldwell's side are once again top of the table. They took on struggling Cheltenham Town at St James Park and won 1-0 thanks to a goal on his debut from new signing Caleb Watts.
And as you can see from the table, that win lifts Exeter back to the top on 16 points from their 8 games so far, above Port Vale on goal difference.
In the Championship, Plymouth Argyle suffered defeat at the hands of Preston, managed by former Pilgrims boss Ryan Lowe. Argyle went 2-0 down in the first half and were unable to rescue a point despite pulling a goal back through Ryan Hardy after the break. They slipped to 13th place in the table.
The draw for the third qualifying round of the FA Cup was made this afternoon, with non-league teams involved now just 2 wins away from the first round proper. Here are the ties involving our region sides. Highlights include Weymouth hosting Bath City and Plymouth Parkway facing a long trip to Kent if they can win their replay against Frome Town tomorrow night, that is. The games will be played at the end of the month.
And in rugby, the Premiership Cup continued at the weekend. Exeter Chiefs comfortably beat Cornish Pirates by 38 points to 13 at Sandy Park to pick up a second successive victory and sit top of Pool C with maximum points so far.
Now, here's a story that's surely going to lift your spirits this evening, because 2 friends took a zip line in Cornwall today to raise money for charity. And, well, at first that may sound fun, but not too remarkable. What if I told you that they were 3-year-old and a 92-year-old there?
92-year-old George Dorr and family friend 3-year-old Richard took on the challenge to raise money for a local care home. Well, our reporter Claire Manning was there to see how it all went.
Meet today's, you can call them unlikely, I suppose, daredevils. 92-year-old George and his compadre and fellow zipliner, 3-year-old Richard. The last time George did a zip, he told me, was in 1949 while doing national service. So why do it now?
George said we went on a zip line. I said, I want to do that.
But the last time you did a zip line was more than 70 years ago. Have you thought that maybe, perhaps it might be time to take it a bit more easy?
It might be, I don't know. I'll tell you down the bottom, all right.
And while little Richard wasn't afraid of the zip line, he was a bit nervous of me and my camera. So I had a quick chat with his mum. Your Richard, your little Richard, he's a mini version of George,
Absolutely,
basically.
yes, yeah. He'll keep George alive. Or maybe not.
You're saying that with a smile.
I've always said all my life, if you want to do something and the opportunity comes, do it. Don't look back and say, I wish I'd done that. So I'm doing it.
And spoiler alert, George did do it. But don't expect screams, squeals or terrified looks. George and Richard were, as you can see, as cool as proverbial cucumbers. Racing from 50 metres high was no challenge to this pair. You absolute legend, you did it! How was it? Hair raising, looking at your hair.
It was good.
Yes, George was as unfazed as he looks. As for Richard, again, it was me and not the zip line that shook him, so I had a chat with Dad. He's an Action Jackson, your boy,
Oh,
isn't
he is. Yeah, he's no fear of anything. He's, jumps into everything in both feet, you know.
And how much does it mean to you that he's done this today with George?
It's brilliant because it's memories for life, isn't it?
George and Richard are raising money for a local care home. Friend and care home worker Denise came to support them today.
Tell you what, I will do it again. I would love that.
On your own, I'm not doing it.
Oh, I thought you might come with me.
No, you thought wrong. No, when he said that's what he wanted to do, I don't know whether to hug him or just
kick him.
Or call you a crazy man. And at what, 92 years young? Yeah, very proud of it.
Wouldn't it be great if we could all live life like George and Richard, full throttle, maximum fun, and raising a bit of money for others along the way? What a pair of brilliant men. Claire Manning, ITV News, Liscard.
Very brave.
Very brave indeed.
Time to go to Charlie again with the weather. And unfortunately, Charlie, it looks like we've got a bit more rain to deal with.
Yeah, not quite as heavy as yesterday's, thankfully, but a few days of rain is still not going to help anything, and it's all thanks to quite a strong jet stream. We saw last week that's been helped along by a couple of hurricanes, and as it works its way across the Atlantic towards us, there's a lot of low pressure on the chart. Quite a topsy-turvy week ahead, more autumnal, I guess you could say. No great surprises there. You'll see more about that in a moment. But towards the end of this week, glimmers of hope perhaps, because the jet stream doesn't always help to bring areas of low pressure our way. And if you just keep your eyes peeled down towards the southwest, you'll see a little bit of high pressure just nudging up as we head into the start of the weekend. It's a long way off, wouldn't normally go that far at this stage, but I think in what's probably going to be quite a wet and unsettled week, anything a little quieter will be well received.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
Well, the rest of this week will continue an autumnal theme. There'll be bits of sunshine trying to break through, as we saw today, but some further outbreaks of rain, quite heavy middle part of the week. The wind's picking up a little bit as well. You probably guessed by now that low pressure is in charge. A showery start to the week, then this area of low pressure here and this front provides some persistent rain, some really strong winds as we head into Wednesday morning especially. Then more showers rotating around areas of low pressure following for the rest of this week. But there will be glimmers of sunshine this evening before sundown, and a couple of showers will continue as we head through the course of night time. There's a good deal of dry weather around as we head through towards dawn, though perhaps a few more outbreaks of rain just giving a glancing blow towards west-facing coasts. The wind's picking up a little bit as well, so it will be mild, lows of 13 or 14 degrees by tomorrow morning. And Tuesday gets off to a relatively cloudy and damp start. There'll be some more persistent, mostly light rain coming through. It fragments a bit, and by the afternoon things will turn a lot drier with hopefully a bit more sunshine trying to break through. Brightness at least anyway, but you'll notice the winds more than anything, I think. Some real strong southwesterlies and highs of 18 or 19 Celsius. So some pretty powerful seas out there. High tide, Newquay and Falmouth just after 8 in the morning, and again sort of roughly 8:15 in the evening. And then into Wednesday, well, that's when we have that pretty wet day, particularly during the morning as that front comes through. Showers then follow as we head through the rest of the week. Frequent on Thursday, slightly fewer on Friday, hopefully a few glimmers, more sunshine as we start the weekend. Here though, some interesting cloud. Graham sending this in from Bideford a couple of days ago. This weird sort of like eerie kind of wavy structure. It's a type of cloud called asperitus.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV West Country weather.
OK, Charlie, thank you very much. Now, just before we go, a quick reminder that there's plenty more online, including the latest on our website on tonight's top story after those flash floods we've been talking about that have hit the region.
We'll bring you that latest on the travel disruption it's causing and, of course, the clean-up operation that's already underway. Just go to itv.com/West Country. That's it from the two of us. I'll have the late news for you at 10:30.
And after the break, the ITV News continues. Lucrezia Mellerini, but from all of us here, bye-bye.
Bye.